You don't even need that many lessons to be able to write good task one intros, right? In this video, let's focus on let's say writing task one. Yeah. Oh wait, it's IELTS writing task one intros. I'm gonna explain, quickly, and I will show you like five examples of I'm gonna show you real time how I write, like five examples, and I think you don't even need more than this. You just need to watch this video. You don't need thousands of tutorials. All you need is this video, all the basics, basic grammar, improve your grammar and vocabulary all the time, and you need to practice a lot, use GPT actively, and that's all you need. Okay, so for intro you need to the first of all you need to know a couple of things. So first of all, we'll have a graph, right? So there's going to be a graph. So this is a y-axis, right? And there is an x-axis, right? And then you will see some numbers here. For example, the most common ones are percentages, right? And here, let's say you're gonna see years, and that's basically it. And there is not much else to say. Let's say if I do this and this and this. For intro, all I need to know, all I need to say is what's even happening here. So in this chart, I can see a certain A increasing or fluctuating. That's all I write. So a couple of rules that you need to know. In task one, we actually have certain rules that you need to follow, grammar rules, yeah, grammatical rules that you need to um, that needs to conform with standard English. First of all, if you see the percentage of, you need to write proportion. So this is the only um, way to paraphrase. Okay, the percentage of, we paraphrase it to the proportion of. That's it. That's all you can. That's not much else. You can also use share, figure, but they are not recommended for intros. Okay, you should be careful with this share and figure, this stuff. Okay, next, if you see the number of, okay, the number of, then you need to use how many. If it's countable, let's say, for example, uh, the graph shows how many students took part in AMs, in a race, right? In a competition, right? Competition. I can also rewrite this in another way, and that kind of looks like a bit different. So this is the first example I have. And the next example is like this. Okay, this is example second, right? So let me write this a bit differently. The graph shows the number of students. Yeah, the number of students who, I need relative clause, who took part in a competition. Now I'm going to show you the noun phrase, okay, or participle clause. That's how we call it. This is the example third, actually the best one. I'm going to take this same example, okay. Now I'm going to write this way. The graph shows, let me make it blue, the number of students who took part. Let's say if you don't like this who, or if you already have who in the, in the description, you need to use students taking part, which is also perfect. So these are the grammar structures that you need for introduction, and I don't think you need anything more than this for the number of or the percentage of. Um, then there is more actually. If you see from, let's say, 1992 to 2000, we paraphrase it for line graphs, right? we take the same thing and write with between. That's it. If you see from, use between structure. If you see between, then use from structure. You don't need anything more than that. You can say over the period of certain years, but that doesn't really help you in any shape or form. So you better stick to this and use the rest of your time for overview, for example, which plays much bigger role. Then what else do I say? Then we have something called umbrella technique. I'm going to show all of them in practice so that you can get the idea of how it looks. For example, if we have certain materials, right? So um, we have plastic, we have bottles, right? Bottles, say electronics, right? Electronics. We can say all of them if we, take them. We need to normalize this. So they are like just waste materials. This is another beautiful thing that you can do to beautify your writing. My own personal writing is 8 in my last exam, so you can trust me in this, okay? Especially in task 1. Then there is more actually. If you see 2 years, let's say in 2009 and 2015, you do not paraphrase. Just write it in that way as it is, okay? You just copy and you can just write it exactly like it is. You have no issue whatsoever, because even if you try to paraphrase it in certain form, it doesn't show your English. Okay, so these are the general rules. I'm going to show them in practice because task 1 is a bit unique thing. You need to show you know, it depends on graph to graph. There are no like general rules you can follow, but these are some rules, okay? So now let's move on to practical side. Let's look at this task 1, right? So now the first thing is we need to read this part, okay? As you can see, the graph below shows the amount of. I forgot to mention this. If you see the the amount of, you can say how much and use it in the same way. For example, the graph graph shows. By the way, sorry, I forgot to mention. If you see shows, you can say illustrates, compares, or demonstrates. Okay, so these are the things you can use. The graph shows the amount of coffee consumed in 5 countries. Until 10, you should write in words. Okay, in 5 countries. That's it. So do not write 5 countries like this, because this is not considered as formal. So you better use that way. Even GPT agrees on this. And this is one way of writing. And if you want another way, you just take the same thing and just write the graph shows how much coffee, right? How much coffee was consumed in 5 countries. These two things are the same, but you cannot use the number of, because you cannot count coffee. So these are used for uncountable. Okay. So this is another rule that you need to follow. This is for uncountables. Instead of shows, you can say illustrates and demonstrates and all that. And these are some other rules that we used. So let's go. How much tea and coffee imported for imported. So how much they received, right? Import means to import. Export means to send. Import means to receive. Imported by 4 different countries in tones. Okay, these are tones, right? So we have 20,000 tone, 40,000 tone, and this is I know this should be like, another way of measuring. Summarize information. Coffee and tea. We have 5 countries. So Canada, UK, USA, Germany. Okay, two of them are European, two of them are, I mean, all of them are Western countries. Yeah, but this doesn't play any role. So the bar chart illustrates, right? I don't write below because it's not below actually. In CGILs, it's on your left, but you don't need to mention it. Illustrates uh, how much coffee and tea was imported. I don't need to look for a synonym for the word imported because this is the most accurate word that I can use. And not to mention, your introduction is not even that significant. As long as you don't copy, you are fine. Imported by 4 different countries. Countries. That's it. That's enough. I hope you learned something here. I just wrote how much, and that's all I did. Um, you know, Introduction is not a place where you show off your language skills. Yes, you do to a degree, but there are certain things you don't need to paraphrase. For example, I don't need to find some sort of, fantastic way of saying bar chart because it is bar chart. Illustrates, shows, doesn't even show my English. It's probably A1. How much? The amount of. Is it correct? Yes, that's the most important. You can get up to 8 with this, but you can also get like 5.5 with this. So it really depends on your overview, more on your overview than this. Let's move on. So we have another graph. The chart below shows the most important thing for intro is, rather than writing beautifully, is writing quickly. That's more important. For overview, I can understand if you spend time, but not for intro. It is not justified. Shows the below percentage of spending on road and transport. Okay, these are like investments, all right? Spendings, investments, allocations. You can use all those words. Okay, let's go. The bar chart illustrates the spendings. No, it said spending, right? Percentage of spending. The expenditures, right? Expenditures. Expenditures on what was it? Roads and transport. Uh, on infrastructure, let's me try infrastructure, right? Uh, by by four. We always use the you know we don't use number form here in intro. It's not recommended until 10. Okay, so if it's like 15, then yes, you better use number. For countries, um, maybe the percentage of, no, it said percentage of, right? The proportion of, right? Proportion of expenditures, right? Proportion of expenditures on infrastructure by 4 countries. Uh, from it said from, right? You see from 1990. From 1990 to 2005. Okay. Between 1990 and 2005. That's it. That's all you can. I think this is the best. By 4 countries, and then you have government spending, something that you can use in overview, but it's for another day. So this is the sample here. There you go. This is actually perfect. On infrastructure is perfect paraphrase. There you go. So next one. I hope you can see this. Oh, that's awful actually. Oh, that's terrible. So let's, enhance the quality. Hmm. I'm gonna give it to GPT and let's wait for it to, um, you know, improve the quality. And until this gets done, I'm gonna have it improved. Until this gets done, we're gonna yeah, keep doing what we were doing with other graphs. Okay, this is quite visible, I guess. That's not terrible. Let's read. The chart shows the changes in car ownership in a country. Percentage of people owning a car. Okay, no car, one car, and two cars or more. I'm not gonna mention these. Um, or I can mention this actually. Okay, so bar chart illustrates the the this is a percentage. Okay, the proportion of people mm, who owned cars were in a certain country. In a certain country. Okay, we have between, so let's write from, right? From 1971 to 2001. Now there is another way of writing this. So this is one way. Let me show you another way. So I'm gonna write the bar. Okay, let me choose this, right? The bar chart. The bar chart illustrates, right? Illustrates the proportion of people, so far the same, of people. Let's put it this way. The proportion of people owning a car, owning cars, right? And then the rest is the same. In a certain country, from to. Now, this grammar is actually better. I don't say better, it's just one way of paraphrasing, okay? So you can use who owned cars or owning cars. That's both are the same. Now, can I mention I can also mention let's say divided into say three. What's wrong is divided. Mhm, divided into three mm, three different, right, categories. Um, let's say namely, we use namely instead of such as uh, categories. So let's say one car owners. um, okay, let's say those with one car, two or two, and two cars or more. As you can see, I don't like this part. And that's the reason why I don't, it doesn't look clean and it's not doing much. It's just one way of putting, one way of risking and making mistakes. So I just divide this part. That's why initially I didn't use that. Have I mentioned the percentages? Yes. And we don't say in percentages in the end. You can, but if I say proportion, it's clear that it's proportion. So you don't need to mention again. Oh, let's see what happened with our E. Yeah. Uh, and whatever, we are not gonna waste time. Let's write for this one. So what happened? The percentage, I don't even need the graph actually. The graph shows the percentage of tourists who use different types of transport travel within a particular nation. Cool. Okay, these are percentage of tourists, and these are the transport they use. Okay. The line graph. Okay. Illustrates the proportion. The proportion, yep. the proportion of tourists. Let's use the noun phrase or participle clause, that grammar, okay? Using how many we have? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different modes of transport. Who use different types of transport using 5 different modes of transport. Beautiful. Within a particular nation, transport to travel. Okay, to travel. Do you have synonym to travel? To wander, take journeys? No, travel is the best one. To travel in a certain country. Is it from or between? Okay, between. Mm. Okay, okay, from 1989 to 2009. And I'm gonna add here, each tourist may, no, I don't need to mention that part. Each tourist may have used more than one mode of transport. I don't need to mention this part, I guess. Yeah, that's basically it. Here it says one nation, here it says country. You can write both of them. The most important thing is, have I showed my grammar? Yes. It's accurate. Is it easier to read? Yes. Is it easier to follow? Yes. Isn't it overloaded with all the information? No. So it's perfect. So we can secure easily, quite high band scores. So we have two options here. Learn this grammar, who owned cars and owning cars. Give these two examples to GPT and it will explain you how they work. So is this our last graph? Okay, this is our last graph. So let's write for this one. Participation by 4-year-old selected leisure activities, Australia. Here we have percentages, boys and girls, specifically 5 to 14-year-olds. Okay, the bar chart illustrates, right? What do we write here? So we don't have percentage or proportion. We can write either of them. We write them throughout our report. So the percentage of 5 to 14, another hyphen olds. Then I can say who participated or taking part. So participating is better, I guess. Participating in so selected leisure activities. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 5 different leisure activities. The percentage of 14-year-old boys and girls, maybe, right? Participating in 5 different activities. That's it. This is actually, this is by far the best one, actually. It doesn't have years, so I don't need to mention. Zabarcha illustrates. Have I paraphrased? Yep. It doesn't even have its own description, but we don't even need that. You can analyze the graph yourself. We have beautiful overviews here, but that's for another day. The percentage of 14 and 15-year-old boys and girls participating. And here it said participation. This is a noun. And here we have noun phrase or verb version, participated, we can write. We could have written that way, participating in 5 different leisure activities. This is a perfect intro you can write. Next, we're gonna write overview, which will be another video, not for today. Then we have body 1 and maybe body 2, right? When I say maybe, it depends, but usually this is the structure we follow, and this is the shortest, the least important paragraph that we have covered today. So Again, percentage, proportion, share, figure, you can write them. How, the number of, how many. And then we have three examples of three different grammar. If you see from, use between. If you see between, use from. Then we have umbrella technique. We didn't use this. We haven't used this in today, but maybe later. 2 years. We haven't had 2 years. If you see the amount of, use how much. If you see the number of, use how many. The grammar will be different. You can also use so how much coffee was consumed, the amount of coffee consumed. And the last thing is in intros, right? In introductions, use letters or numbers 1 to 9. Okay. So I've shown this here, right? 4 countries. We don't write 4 countries. We literally write them with letters. That's more formal, though it doesn't really harm that much. So I hope you learned something. Have a look at these examples. You can pause the video, you can take screenshots, uh, and I hope you learned something. That was the thing I wanted to share today in this video.